Hello students, in this video we are going to study the 100 dresses 2 of our book First Flight. Now in continuation of the previous lesson, the 100 dresses 2 reveals why Wanda Petronsky had not been coming to school. The Petronsky family decided to move to a big city where no one would care about their unfamiliar name. On hearing the note, Maddie and Peggy got anxious as they realized that they would never get a chance for making amends for all the teasing they had done. Both the girls get relieved only on learning that Wanda liked them and had dedicated one of the 100 dresses, that is drawing, to each one of them. Now फर्स्ट चैप्टर में हमने देखा था 100 ड्रेसेस 1 में कि वांडा पेट्रोन्स्की को काफ़ी टीज करती हैं पेगी एंड मैडी और भी बच्चे, और वो इस रीजन से वो स्कूल अब नहीं आ रही होती है ना। इस चैप्टर में हम देखेंगे कि वो रीज़न क्या है जिसकी वजह से वो नहीं आती है, और ये जो दो पेगी एंड मैडी हैं ये क्या करती हैं टू गेट रीड ऑफ द बर्डन। वो उसको टीज करती थी और ये बर्डन से फ्री होने के लिए वो क्या क्या करती हैं। Everyone was having a look at the amazing drawings Wanda had drawn and admiring it when the monitor of the class brought a piece of note for Miss Mason. Miss Mason read that note multiple times as she could not believe what was written in it. Finally, she decided to gather the class to read it loud and clear. It was a letter from Wanda Petronsky's dad. She silenced for a while, which created tension in the minds of her students. She adjusted her spectacles, which made it clear how important the note is. She began reading it and everyone listened carefully. Now प्रिंसिपल के पास से मॉनिटर एक नोट्स लेके आता है जो मिस मैसन क्लास को पढ़ के बताने से पहले खुद भी बहुत बार पढ़ती हैं, क्योंकि उनको उस पर विश्वास नहीं होता है कि हाउ इज इट पॉसिबल, और ये वांडा पेट्रोन्स्की के डैड का एक लेटर है। द लेटर बिगिन विथ अ सैल्यूटेशन टू मिस मैसन. वांडाज फादर कन्वेड हिज intention of not sending both of his children, Wanda and Zack, to school anymore. He mentioned that they were shifting to another city, a big one, where no one would care enough about their strange name, a big city with a lot of people having weird names. Wanda's classmates thought her name was weird and funny. Wanda was a Polish immigrant to America and thus had an unfamiliar name. Now later में वांडा पेट्रोन्स्की के फादर जैन पेट्रोन्स्की बताते हैं कि वो एक बड़े शहर में जा रहे हैं जहाँ उसके नाम को लेकर वो वैसे बहुत सारे नाम के लोग होंगे जहाँ लोगों को ये नहीं लगेगा कि दिस वांडा पेट्रोन्स्की इज एन वियर्ड, अजीब सा नाम है। सो वो अब स्कूल अपने दोनों बच्चों को, वांडा और जेक को, नहीं सेंड करेंगे। After hearing what was there in that letter, everyone was left speechless. Miss Mason too was stunned, and thus she cleared her glasses over them again and spoke to the class in a very low voice. She conveyed her disappointment to the class and asked them to assure her that nothing was done purposefully to hurt Wanda. She gave the children benefit of doubt that everything they did was done unintentionally. She said whatever happened was sad and unfortunate. She advised the student to introspect about it too. Now Miss Mason उनको कहती हैं कि जो कुछ भी हुआ वो आप लोगों ने unintentionally किया है, आप लोगों ने जानबूझकर ऐसा नहीं किया है, बट जो भी हुआ वो काफ़ी अनफॉर्चुनेट था एंड यू शुड इंट्रोस्पेक्ट। आप लोग इस चीज़ की समीक्षा करें, खुद देखें कि हाउ एंड व्हाई इट हैपेंड। Everyone began thinking about what was written in that letter and how each one of them made Wanda feel. In their first period, Maddie couldn't concentrate on her studies as she felt sick for not stopping Peggy at the right time. Had she stopped Peggy from playing that dress game with Wanda, things could have been different. Although Maddie never teased Wanda, but nor did she stop Peggy from doing it, which makes her just as bad or maybe worse. Peggy's intentions were never to hurt Wanda, and she was not aware that her game hurt her feelings. Maddie, on the other hand, was aware of its impact, yet she stood silent, which made her a coward for not standing against what's wrong. ना फर्स्ट पीरियड में मैडी अपने स्टडीज़ पे कंसंट्रेट नहीं कर पाती है, वो उसके दिमाग में वही वांडा से रिलेटेड चीज़ें आती रहती हैं कि उसने कभी पेगी को वांडा को टीज करने से नहीं रोका. सो शी वॉज इक्वली रिस्पॉन्सिबल. जितनी की पेगी थी उतना ही वो मैडी भी थी, इवन दो कि उसने कभी भी वांडा को टीज नहीं किया था, बट कभी उसने पेगी को रोका भी नहीं था. सो वो अपने आप को गिल्टी फील कर रही है और उसको लगता है कि वो क्या है, कावर्ड है, क्योंकि उसने गलत के खिलाफ आवाज नहीं उठाई. Filled with guilt and regret, Maddie wished for a chance to apologize to Wanda, hoping Peggy would be thinking about Wanda too. She takes a look at Peg, but she was busy studying. Regardless of what Peggy was thinking, Maddie decided to take some action. She hoped Wanda hadn't yet moved away, and she could tell her how sorry she was and appreciated her 100 dresses. Now, मैडी सोचती है कि वो वांडा से जाके क्या सॉरी बोलेगी और उसको बताएगी कि उसके जो 100 ड्रेसेस वो काफ़ी सुंदर हैं. वो पेगी को देखती है, बट पेगी वॉज बिजी इन रीडिंग. That day, after the school had ended, Peggy asked Maddie if they could go and check if Wanda has moved or not. Maddie was satisfied at the thought that they both had same plans of apologizing to Wanda. Both of them hurried to Boggins Heights, the place where Wanda lived, in order to find her. During this season, the place was generally wet and the atmosphere was sad and hopeless. Now, स्कूल छूटने के बाद पेगी मैडी से पूछती है कि क्या वो जाके वांडा से सॉरी बोलेंगी. सो इनिशियली मैडी के दिमाग में भी यही चल रहा था. सो दोनों के प्लान एक जैसे थे. ये सोच जान के मैडी को काफ़ी खुशी होती है और वो दोनों लोग बोगिंस हाइट की तरफ जाते हैं. Peggy tries to comfort herself by murmuring that at least she didn't call her a foreigner because she was an immigrant. Neither did she make her feel different for having an unfamiliar name. She was always in this delusion that Wanda had no idea that those girls were making fun of her. Above all, Wanda is such a great artist too. Maddie, on the other hand, couldn't say a word. What she hoped for is a chance to confess, make amends, appreciate her, and try to stop her from moving away. In fact, she even thought of conveying her idea to protect Wanda if anyone tried to trouble her in any way. In order to reach the place before the night, they hurried up. Now, Wanda पेगी अपने आप को जस्टिफाई करने के लिए बताती है कि उसने कभी उसको उसके नाम को लेकर कभी उसे फॉरेनर नहीं बुलाया और उसे नहीं लगता कि वांडा को कभी ये समझ में आया होगा कि लड़कियां उसका मजाक भी बना रही हैं. और खुद वांडा भी क्या थी, एक आर्टिस्ट थी, एक स्केच, उसके भी ड्राइंग्स काफ़ी अच्छे थे. बट ऑन द अदर हैंड मैडी के दिमाग में कुछ अलग ही चल रहा था। वो सिर्फ ये सोच रही थी कि वांडा मिल जाए और वो उसको सॉरी बोल के और उसके ड्रेसेस की तारीफ करके सब कुछ वो ठीक कर लें, और वो उसको ये भी कहना चाहती है कि फ्रॉम नाउ ऑन वो उसको टीज होने से बचाएगी, कोई उसे टीज नहीं कर पाएगा, वो उसके साथ रहेगी। और ये सोचते हुए वो लोग जल्दी जल्दी क्या कर रहे हैं, बोगिन्स हाइट की तरफ जा रहे हैं ताकि अंधेरा होने से पहले वो वहां पहुंच जाएं। They saw a white little house up there which they thought was the place where Wanda Petronsky lived. The house and its surroundings were shabby but clean, just like Wanda's worn out blue dress. These bunches of grass grew along the path that led to the house. Now they resembled thin kittens. No one could be seen around the house. They knocked both at the front and backyard doors, but their disappointment, there was no answer. Now वो जाते हैं घर के पास, उनको एक छोटा सा घर दिखता है जो कि काफी साफ सुथरा है, सैबी है बट साफ सुथरा है। जैसे कि उसका ड्रेस था, ब्लू कलर का ड्रेस जो पहन के आती थी, ये फेडेड हो गया था, बट वो काफी क्लीन पहनती थी, साफ सुथरा रहता था वो। सिमिलरली उसके हाउस भी वैसे ही हैं, और रास्ते में उनको घासें दिखती हैं जो उसको छोटे छोटे किटेंस के जैसे दिखती हैं। वो घर के आसपास जाते हैं, देखते हैं कोई नहीं दिखता, वो दरवाजे पे नॉक करते हैं बट कोई आंसर अंदर से नहीं आता है। Now the Petronskis had gone, and along with them Maddie and Peggy's last chance to make amends too. In order to comfort herself, Peggy starts saying that Wanda must have looked for drawing inspirations only after she started her dress game, and hadn't she done that, Wanda would have never won the drawing competition. नाउ वांडा पेट्रोन्स्की अब वहां से जा चुकी है, और पेगी और मैडी जो वहां गए हैं कि उनको मौका मिल जाए, वांडा मिल जाए और वो अपने गलती के लिए उसको सॉरी बोल सकें। सो ऐसा हो नहीं पाता है। टू जस्ट अपने आप को जस्टिफाई करने के लिए पैगी कहती है कि अगर वो ये ड्रेस गेम का नहीं स्टार्ट करती तो वांडा को आइडियाज नहीं आते और वो ऐसी ड्राइंग्स नहीं बना पाती और वो कंपटीशन भी नहीं जीत पाती। मैडी ऑल्सो ट्राइड टू कन्विंस हर आफ्टर व्हाट पेगी सेड, एंड दैट इफ दिस इज द केस शी डजंट हैव टू फील सो बैड। बट लेटर दैट नाइट शी कुड नॉट स्लीप as she was thinking constantly about Wanda's little house, her faded blue dress, both shabby but clean, and her glorious 100 dresses that were all lined up in the classroom instead of the closet. Finally, she sat in her bed and started thinking deeply, the hardest she had ever done. She pressed her forehead tight in her hands, which indicated that she was really trying to concentrate. After thinking so much and so deeply, she came to a conclusion that she will always stand against the wrongs and will never say nothing when she has to. Now, मैडी भी अपने आप को कन्विंस करती है कि ऐसा अगर है कि उसके गेम स्टार्ट करने से, ड्रेस गेम स्टार्ट करने से अगर उसे आइडियाज आए हैं, देन दे शुड नॉट फील बैड। बट रात में उसे नींद नहीं आती है, वो काफ़ी डीपली इसके बारे में सोचती है, एंड शी कम्स आउट इन कंक्लूजन। वो एक डिटर्मिनेशन लेती है कि आगे से वो किसी के साथ अगर ऐसा होता है, इफ समबडी इज टीजिंग समवन, वो चुप नहीं रहेगी और वो उसके साथ, उसके अगेंस्ट में खड़ी होगी। शी डिसाइडेड दैट she would never let anyone make fun of others because of their appearance, name, clothes, or where they come from. They would not shy to speak up against Peggy, even if it meant losing her friendship. She could not go in the past to make amends with Wanda Petronsky. no matter how much she wanted to, but from now on, she is never going to let another person feel embarrassed or unhappy again. Now, मैडी डिसाइड करती है कि वो पास्ट में जाके अपने डीड्स के लिए वांडा से तो वो अमेंड्स नहीं कर सकती, बट फ्रॉम नाउ ऑन वो ऐसा अब किसी के साथ अगर होता है तो वो अब चुप नहीं रहेगी, इवन इफ शी लूजेज हर फ्रेंडशिप विथ पेगी. On Saturday, both of them sat together and decided to write a letter to Wanda telling her about the contest, asking her where she is living now and how that place is. No matter how much they wanted to apologize, they could not summon the courage to do so, and thus ended up writing a friendly letter as if Wanda was their good friend. They mailed it to Boggin's Height with "Please forward" written on it because they didn't know her new address. There was no reply from Wanda, but they didn't also receive the letter back. Thus, they concluded that it must have reached Wanda, but she was so upset that she didn't answer. They waited for weeks, but still no answer. Peggy began to forget about this whole thing, while Maddie used to make scenarios in her head before sleeping where she defended Wanda. She thought of the scenario where a large group of girls surrounded Wanda and would ask her, "How many dresses have you got?" And as soon as anyone could say more, Wanda would interrupt and say stop so that all of them could end up ashamed. Now काफ़ी समय बीत गया उस लेटर को, बट आंसर नहीं आया. उनको लगता है कि वांडा उनसे काफ़ी ज़्यादा अपसेट है, इसलिए वो उनको रिप्लाई नहीं कर रही है. पैगी धीरे धीरे सारी चीज़ें भूल गई थी, बट स्टिल मैडी के जो दिमाग में था वो ये चीज़ें चलती रहती थी. वो अभी भी ऐसा इमेजिन करती थी कि वांडा को कुछ लोग टीज कर रहे हैं और वो उनके ऊपर साउट करती है, और इस तरह से वो इमेजिन करते रहती है. It was winter season and there was now snow everywhere on the ground. Christmas had come. They decorated their class with bells and a small tree. That day, Miss Mason told the student that she had received a letter from Wanda Petronsky. She is very happy to receive it because now she can send her the medal too. The letter began in a very friendly tone. Wanda asked how everyone was and that they could keep her 100 dresses because in her new house she has another lot of 100 dresses lined up in her closet. She especially mentioned the dress she wanted Maddie and Peggy to take home. The green dress with red trimming was for Peggy, while the blue one was for Maddie. She expressed her affection towards Miss Mason and wrote her new teacher could never replace Miss Mason. She winded up the letter by wishing everyone Merry Christmas and also wrote that she missed everyone in room number 13. नाउ फाइनली मिस मैसन को वांडा का एक लेटर आता है जिसमें उसने सभी के बारे में पूछा है, और स्पेशली पेगी और मैडी के लिए उसने जो एक ड्रेसेस थे वो उनको देने के लिए बोला है. It was Christmas season and all the houses were decorated. Grocery stores were stocked with Christmas trees, candy, peppermint sticks and other Christmas stuff. The atmosphere was colorful and joyful. Maddie and Peggy took home the drawings very carefully. When Peggy realized that this gesture implies that Wanda liked them, they also assumed that she got their letter and everything was peaceful between them. Maddie, on the other hand, was quite sad because she would never be able to see that polished, tight-lipped girl again. She would never get a chance to make amends. Now, पैगी को लगता है कि उसने उनको वो जो ड्राइंग्स देने के लिए बोला है, इससे पता चलता है कि वो उन्हें पसंद करती थी। बट ऑन द अदर साइड मैडी को काफ़ी दुख है कि वो उस वांडा से कभी भी अपने किए के लिए अमेंड्स माफ़ी नहीं मांग पाएगी। As soon as Maddie reached home, she displayed her drawing on the part of the wall from where her pink flowered wallpapers was slightly torn. Maddie's room was shabby too, but the drawing made it lively. She stared at the drawing constantly and thought how nice Wanda had been to them. While staring at the drawing Wanda had given her, Maddie's vision got blurred from tears. She rubbed her eyes and noticed that Wanda had actually drawn Maddie's face along with the dress. The colors of the dresses were so bright and vibrant that the face was hardly visible. Maddie got excited and ran towards Peggy to check if she had noticed it too. Now Maddie उस वांडा के दिए हुए पिक्चर को अपने कमरे में लगाती है और उसको देखते हुए वो उसकी आंखों में आंसू आते हैं। अगेन सी रब हर आइज, और दोबारा जब देखती है तो उस ड्रेस के ब्राइट कलर के वजह से जो उसने फेस ड्रॉ किया हुआ है वो थोड़ा दिख नहीं रहा था, बट क्लियरली एंड क्लोजली देखने पे उसको समझ में आया कि वो ड्रेस स्पेशली मैडी के लिए ही बना था और उसका मैडी का फेस उसको उस ड्रेस में दिखता है। ये सोच के वो दौड़ती है पैगी के पास कि क्या उसने भी ऐसी कोई चीज नोटिस की है। As soon as she reached Peggy's house, she asked her for the picture. The drawing was lying upside down on the bed. Maddie raised it, and yes, it was Peggy in that drawing. Both were left in shock and awe at the same time. Peggy exclaimed that she was right about the thought that Wanda liked them. Maddie, whose eyes got filled with tears every time she recalled the scene where Wanda would look at the girls laughing at her, also agreed with Peggy. Now Peggy की ड्राइंग में भी उसका फेस दिखता है and they are now happy कि they have everything right with Wanda. Wanda उन्हें काफ़ी पसंद करती थी। So here we come to the end of this story.